Well, good morning, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee Sunday morning celebration service. And we're streaming here from our center in Carnelian Bay, and we're looking outside at the snow that's piled up, but the new snow hasn't started yet. So I'm glad you're either here, the ones that are close that could make it easily, or the ones that are far away on Zoom. I'm glad you're home and safe and warm and here. So now we move to our receptivity statement that you'll see on the screen if you would read along with me. I am here by divine appointment. Something I am about to hear applies to my life. I am open, receptive, and willing to explore the possibilities. And one of those is we remember that our vision is love, and we are embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. That is the truth of why we are here, and hopefully that you are here joining us. This morning we are enjoying the singing of some of our favorite New Thought musicians and songs that were at the CSL convention this week that Michael and I were attending. It was virtual, and it was had in place. So we were at the CSL Santa Rosa, and they also had people in CSL Dallas and CSL Phoenix. So it was a true hybrid convention. But these are some of the songs that have been sung, and there's some of our own favorite artists here in the center. So our first song is God and Everyone, that was written and performed by Gary, Lynn, Floyd, and Jami, Lula, and at the convention it was performed by Gary and Karen Drucker. So, and we also heard Gary and Eugene perform it at the retreat at Ananda last fall. So it's a beautiful song. So please feel free to sing along or just listen. Muted, of course, whatever you are. Thank you.
Everything beneath the sun breathes like a harmonium. Pure perfection has begun, shining like a midnight sun. Out of darkness I have come, I see God in everyone. Let me be an instrument, guided by an heaven sent. May these grapes of pain ferment, alchemize to love's content. Ever be a sacrament, knowing God is my intent. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Rolling like a thundercloud, let me live my love out loud. Standing for mankind and proud, baptized in a holy shroud. Peace be still and know me now. God is in all I have found. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. God, I feel you all around. let me know your name. Hold me in the same kiss as your word. God, I feel you all around. To a distant shore. Oh, how you astound from the infinite with your grace. God in everyone's God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same kiss as your word. God, I feel you all around. To a distant shore. Oh, how you astound from the infinite with your grace. God in everyone. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in everyone.
Yeah. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in everyone. That's everything that we've been seeking, it comes from that shift within us. It's that taking that veil that separates us from God, because there really is nothing separating other than that veil that we have put up there ourselves, right? And it's a thin veil. Right? So this morning, our practitioner is Michael Brandman, and my husband. And Michael and I attended the CSL conference together at CSL Santa Rosa. And, and it was really wonderful to see all the other CSL leaders and ministers and practitioners and members in person. We got to hug them. We got to sit down and eat with them and just have a conversation about any old thing, and just be inspired also by their wisdom and their dedication to creating the CSL vision of a world that works for everyone. Right? And, and it's been a challenging 3 years to get through all of this COVID stuff and everything that's been happening in the world. And so sometimes we think that, this is, how are we going to get through all of this? What are we going to do? And we're not alone. Everyone's asking the same questions. And when we lock arms together, we listen together, there's some amazing wisdom that comes through to share. And so I'm really grateful to be there. And Michael has, his reading today, I think, is some of that wisdom that we want to bring back and share with you. So, Michael Brandman.
Good morning. Yeah. So yeah, we did have a fabulous time, which is always. And Pam and I've been to many CSL conferences and VISTA since 2013 together. Um, the title of the conference was on evolutionary love, and so I thought quite a bit about evolution, and sometimes as you're thinking about evolution of thought, you think about involution also. So um, Thomas Troward, Judge Thomas Troward, and his lectures, in his Edinburgh indoor lectures, really became the key that unlocked, if you will, Ernest Holmes in terms of his uh, thinking and compiling his philosophy of religious science back in the early 20th century, first in 1916 with his first writings, and then ultimately in 1925 with Science of Mind. So I have a reading today from Judge Thomas Troward on mental science, and I feel it's very appropriate, and I'll try not to go too fast because it's very thoughtful and deep, but I think it's worth listening to, and I can give you the actual reference for your going back and taking a look at it in the future. So again, this is from the Edinburgh Lectures in Chapter 2. We have seen that the descent from personality as we know it in ourselves to matter as we know it under what we call inanimate forms is a gradual descent in the scale of intelligence from that mode of being, which is able to realize its own willpower as a capacity for originating new trains of causation to that mode of being which is incapable of recognizing itself at all. The higher grade of life, the higher the intelligence, from which it follows that the supreme principle of life must also be the ultimate principle of intelligence. This is clearly demonstrated by the grand natural order of the universe. In the light of modern science, it's interesting to hear modern science, written in the late 19th century, but it holds. In the light of modern science, the principle of evolution is familiar to us all, and the accurate adjustment existing between all parts of the cosmic scheme is too self-evident to need insisting upon. Every advance in science consists in discovering new subtleties of connection in this magnificent universal order, which already exists and only needs our recognition to bring it into practical use. If then the highest work of the greatest minds consists in nothing else than the recognition of an already existing order, there is no getting away from the conclusion that a paramount intelligence must be inherent in the life principle, which manifests itself as this order. And thus we see that there must be a great cosmic intelligence underlying the totality of things. In short, we may say the cosmic intelligence works by a law of averages, which allows a wide margin of accident and failure to the individual. But the progress towards higher intelligence is always in the direction of narrowing down this margin of accident and taking the individual more and more out of the law of averages and substituting the law of individual selection. It may therefore be taken as an established fact that in proportion as intelligence advances, the individual ceases to be subject to a mere law of averages and has a continually increasing power of controlling the conditions of his own survival. The power of individual volition is itself the outcome of this cosmic evolutionary principle at the point where it reaches its highest level. The effort of nature has always been upwards. The all-creating life principle reproduces itself in a form capable of recognizing the working of the evolutionary law and the unity and continuity of purpose running through the whole progression. The evolution which has brought us to this standpoint has worked by a cosmic law of averages. It has been a process in which the individual himself has not taken a conscious part. If man is to evolve further, it can now only be his own conscious cooperation with the law, which has brought him up to the standpoint where he is able to realize that such a law exists. Nature obeys us in proportion as we first obey nature. And concluding, intelligence manifests itself by responsiveness. And the whole action of the cosmic mind in bringing the evolutionary process from its first beginnings up to its present human stage is nothing else but a continual intelligence response to the demand which each stage in the progress has made for an adjustment between itself and the environment. Since then, we have recognized the presence of universal intelligence permeating all things. We must also recognize a corresponding responsiveness hidden deep down in their nature and ready to be called into action when appealed to. All mental treatment depends on this responsiveness of spirit in its lower degrees to its higher degrees of itself. It is here that the difference between the mental scientist and the uninstructed person comes in. The former knows of this responsiveness and makes use of it, and the latter cannot because he does not know it. So, I know that was a little deep, but it's really, it sums it up all in a nutshell. And so grateful for Judge Troward and Ernest Holmes for all of that. So in closing, I'd like to share my gratitude for the center, for Reverend Pam, for Diana working on the AV, for Shirley Nelson providing some snacks for us this morning. And again, knowing that God is all life, all source, all abundance, as we see in our wonderful stream of moisture coming to Lake Tahoe and to the state of California. Very grateful for all of that. And knowing that there may be challenges. If we are calm and peaceful and serene and patient, we will all work through the coming snowstorm as we have already through this season. I know that this center is part of a global movement of new thought, and grateful for Reverend Pam's participation constantly in bringing our little center, our little spot to the world to a global recognition. And knowing that is already done, I release my word into the law, and we say together, and so it is. Reverend Pam, or music. You'll share the music.
So the next song is called Peace, Light, Love, and it's written and performed by Denise Rosier, and she was the head musician for the convention. We've had her play for us in the past. She used to be at anyway. Peace, Light, Love.
Peace, light, love in me. Peace, light. Sweet words of wisdom fill my ears. Your words like water keep my soul sustained. Let them rain, let them rain. love in me. Peace, light, love in me. Peace, light, love in me. Peace, light, love in me.
Thank you. Yes, it's beautiful music, and we'll have to share some more things of hers. She's really quite talented, and it's amazing all of the different people that are in New Thought and all the music. It's really inspired, and there's all the traditional hymns that we might remember from our youth or prior life, but the new songs, once they start getting into your mind, they're different. For at least for me, they just kind of sneak up, and there it is when I need it the most. The theme for this year's retreat, or convention rather, was evolutionary love for today's world. And it's really interesting to hear about how each one of the speakers or the workshops was centered around that idea, and it went in so many different directions. So this morning I'd like to share with you some of the big ahas and moments that are from the different speakers, and then also intersperse it with some questions and answers that you might have about things about God or science of mind or whatever it is. And there are some file cards over here. So if you have a question you'd like to ask me, you can fill it out the file card, and Michael will sort of feed them up here to me. There's some pens there as well, so you can do that. But one of the things, though, that was really amazing to me about the convention, the Evolutionary Love, is that our center, the Centers for Spiritual Living, has evolved from a U.S.-centric organization. It was started in Los Angeles by Ernest Holmes, and now it is worldwide. And not only does it mean, well, as far as how big we are, there's 243 centers like ours, but there's a total of 407 organizations. So besides the full centers, there are focus ministries where you've got one minister that's doing something unique that doesn't necessarily have a building. There are study groups and that are, just starting up, people that don't have a minister, but they want to learn about science of mind. And then there are teaching ministries where you have a practitioner that might be teaching classes or doing things like that. So a total of 407, and they are in more than 40 countries throughout the world. So it's really quite a reach that we've extended to. But the first speaker that they had was a woman named Blanca, and I forget her last name, but she's a minister, new minister, that's from Brazil? Mexico, from Mexico. And so she spoke in Spanish. And so everyone else that was at whether you were listening online or if you were there, they gave us some headsets so we could hear in Spanish. So we got in English. So we got the experience of what it's like to be a Spanish speaker at an English convention, right? So we got to hear it all, and we got to, some of us, my headset didn't get to work, so I missed the first part of her talk while I got it fixed. And, all those kinds of things that go into the experience. So it's really not just thinking, oh, we know the truth, we're going to translate it so you people in Spanish can understand it. It's really bringing in the awareness of all people into our total awareness, right? And so it's we talk a lot in today's world about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that's very controversial in some places, but that's the reality of the world. White Anglo-Saxon males are just a small portion of the total population, and we definitely we do not have a monopoly on God, because God is everything and all people and all things. And so, this is really going beyond tolerance to true acceptance. It's gone from just excluding everybody to including them, but not just including them, but to realize that we are truly all one, right? The Dr. Edward Edward Viljoen. He is originally from South Africa, but he's been in California and CSL Santa Rosa for many years, but before he became the spiritual leader. So he's ending his third year. And when he got elected in February of 2020, a month later we were in COVID. So he had a very unusual time to be the spiritual leader. But he's an amazing man, and he sticks to the principle, that rather than worrying about the form, because, that could really throw you off. He had this whole program planned and didn't get to do a whole lot of it. So he just had to be fully present at all times. And so the question he keeps coming back to is how, and, if we want to have a world that works for everyone, what are we contributing? Each of us as the global movement, as an individual center, and as an individual, right? That's the question to ask. And so when we think about, if we're struggling, how do we get people to come in and find this best kept secret that, people to come to Carnelian Bay to discover us here. And so he's thinking it's not just talking about it that's going to get us where. It's about demonstrating that this stuff works, demonstrating that it makes a difference in people's lives, demonstrating that this idea of a God that's in everything really works for everyone. And they're so much so that they're going to say, I want some of that, I think a lot of the people that are in the center that have been here for a long time, they have had some kind of, they didn't start out with their lives being just wonderful and perfect and everything going along rosy. They've gone through some kind of challenge in their life and gone from the darkness into the light, as they were talking about in the music this morning. And so, because when you've had that transformation, when you've found some ideas that really help us connect with spirit, then we want to remember that. And sometimes, and I know I've gone through a lot of times in my life when, I was, we want to give and, being a practitioner and then a minister, all these giving. But there were some times in my life when the energy that I had was I could get up and get my kids fed into school and then pick them up. And that was about all I could do after my first husband passed. And so I needed someone to give to me, right? And so we're part of the expression of the world. And this also is about, Dr. Edward talked about each one of us are leaders. When in a traditional religion, one of the things that people like about it is that, okay, these are the rules, you follow the rules, and you get to go to heaven. You're not going to go to hell and be in the burning fires of hell for the rest of eternity. You're going to go to heaven. And so it's very simple. So in Science of Mind, though, we talk about we have work to do. We have to listen. We have to understand. We need to speak our word, and we are the co-creators of our life, right? And so, and the part of the trick is that it's done unto you as you believe, and so we have to be really careful about what we believe, right? Because it's not just what we say, it's what we believe in our heart of hearts. Like if we say that, okay, I deserve to have a great job and good income and great relationship, and my children will be perfect, and life will be good, and it will only snow in the days when I want to stay home, but there'll still be plenty of water. I mean, all these things, but what do I really believe? Right? What do I really believe? What is, in fact, we talk about race consciousness. What is going on in the world that people in general believe? because they're all co-creating too. So how do we shift it? We shift it one by one. We will lift, we will rise together by working together. And it's not about changing what's going on out there. It's about changing our own selves. And that's where it starts, right? And then when we change us, then we attract something different around us. Where people have to, when we're different, then people can't treat us the same way because they don't get the same results anymore. So it's a, it sounds complicated, but it's very simple at the same time. So it's really interesting. That takes me off into some of some of the ideas. Maybe we should move into. Should we have a question, or have more about the? Right. Are there any questions yet? Do we have one? Oh, Michael has a question. Okay. Okay. All right.
I'm wondering, what is the meaning of being spiritual without being religious?
Okay. So, when we talk about, there's in religion, there's a lot of these rules of religion, and every religion started with one person that had this experience of God. And it's an amazing experience. When we have a direct experience of God, we realize that we are one with God, that we are a beloved creation of God. And so, but whatever that religion was that this person created, they set down what they learned in that experience as rules. And people follow that rules because other people want the same, whatever that person had, man or woman, then I want some of that. And so they'll copy it. And so when they start copying it, it's like it becomes rigid. It has to be exactly that way. And but when we go back to that experience of God, it's transformative. I mean, I know for me, when I get into that place of that cosmic consciousness, there's not any rules. There's not any words even. There's not any, if you really get into the oneness, there's not even, the music, the art, and there's not even form, right? There's just being. And so when we come, it's like translating. So when you're in this world of just being, it's like everything all at once. But because there's no separation, it's hard to explain everything all at once, right? It's oneness. And so as we come out of that oneness, that's when we get kind of an arm's length difference to try and describe what it is, right? And so and that's, we end up with the rules and think that, well, just because it was this way once, it's going to be that way all of the time for everyone. And that's not true. And so when we talk about being spiritual without being religious, that's what we're talking about, is that for us, it's about that personal experience of God. And all that we do is about that. And so whatever use we have, it's about communicating with God. And and it's, it's about, we talk about practicing the presence. So when we meditate, we're sitting in the presence with spirit. And, and we can pray, there can be words, there can be chanting and music or art or whatever the way we express it, but it comes back to that presence of God within us, right? And it's like the simplicity of knowing God, right? We can come up with all these rules and spiritual mind treatment or what have you, but in some ways it comes back to, Jesus said, "Except they come unto me as a child, they shall not know the kingdom of heaven." And that's what he's really meaning. It's like, a child, they know that they're free and loved and life is good, right? And so we're really all trying to come back to that experience, right? And there's a wonderful poem that one of the ministers shared with me, and I want to share with you. It's just really says this so well. And it's by a woman named Chalin Haken. Here it is. And she she grew up in Hood River in Oregon, and she's a mystical poet, she calls herself. And so she lives with an open heart, and she keeps a pen and notepad near her all the time, because when it comes, she just has to write it down as fast as she can, because when the moment's gone, it's gone, you know? So she has to capture it. And so in 2021, she's about 30-ish, something like that. She published 2 books of poetry in a year, because it just comes that fast and that easily. So this is from her first book, Susceptible to Light. The poem's called The Worst Thing. The worst thing we ever did was put God in the sky, out of reach, pulling the divinity from the leaf, sifting out from the holy from our bones, insisting God isn't bursting in dazzlement through everything that we've made, a hard commitment to see as ordinary, stripping the sacred from everywhere, to put in a cloud man elsewhere, prying closeness from your heart. The worst thing we ever did was to take the dance and the song out of prayer, made it sit up straight and cross its legs, and removed it of rejoicing, wiped clean its hip sway, its questions, its ecstatic yowl, its tears. The worst thing we ever did is to pretend God isn't the easiest thing in this universe, available to every soul and every breath. And that, to me, is about what it's about to be spiritual. And that's something, regardless of whatever background people have, that's something that we can all relate on. You know, it's about that experience of the presence of God, whatever we call God. All right? So, one of the things that, in coming back into, to the conference, we have a committee called the Global Service Committee, and they've been working on getting these centers set up around the world and supporting the ministers and practitioners and new members that are there, and and really it's gone, into these 40 countries. Probably 2/3 of those have been in the last 5 to 10 years, I think, probably. And so there's a lot of things going on. There's a woman minister named Reverend Martha Quintana, who used to be at CSL in Santa Fe, and she took it on for leadership for a couple of years, and she's done amazing things. All the things that they talked about, and they're getting books translated into Spanish and Russian and Swahili and French and and I think Norwegian, lots of different things. But they, when I talked about how shifting to this different perspective expands how we understand. And so there was a minister there from Kenya, and so her native tongue is Swahili, and so when you're in a foreign language, there are always words that never translate into English or vice versa, and so for the word of self-love, they had trouble understanding why Americans would not love themselves. Where was self-compassion? I mean, there's a special word in Swahili that talks about self-compassion, and it's just who they are. It's like fundamental. It's like breathing to them, right? And so they really couldn't understand it. And so this is something where it's like, we work so hard to have self-love in America, right? And it's something out there that we really need to go. We have to be better, and no, you are perfect just as you are. You are loving and loved right as you are. And so it's about discovering who you are. Next month we'll be talking about discovering who we are. We don't need to be anyone else. This is who we are. Another thing that that was different for this student or this minister was when she was teaching the classes. we want to go and get all our books and read the books so we know what the answer is to the questions, and we know, what Troward said and what Emerson said and what Ernest Holmes said and Raymond Charles Barker and Emma Curtis Hopkins and some of the newer writers and what have you. But she had a student in her foundations class, that's the beginning class, and whenever she would ask a question, he would just go, and he would come out with this amazing answer because he was going straight to source, right? And we all have that connection. I mean, that's the direct presence of God. So, these are teaching things. These are teaching tools to get us to that awareness. And it's like learning to drive a car. When you start to learn to car, you learn what the rules of the road are. You learn what all the different things happen in the car and how to do them. And you learn, when you're going to make a turn, you slow down a little bit so you're not going too fast, and you turn the car, and then you straighten out, and you watch the cars around you. If you're changing lanes, you got to turn your blinker on, all this stuff, right? And so if you're driving in snow, that's a whole new experience. And so we go through all these steps in our head, but eventually we find that we've gone 10 miles and haven't thought about one thing what we were doing to drive because it became so automatic, right? So we were thinking about all these other things. But it's the same thing. We go through the steps until they become ingrained in us. So just to kind of focus on some of these things happening worldwide, there's a lot of different conventions that are going to be happening. That if you want to go to convention, you can spend your whole time doing that. But there's some really wonderful ones that you might want to go to. So, for instance, CSL Kenya, they are sponsoring a world convention in February of 2024. So they're inviting everybody to come to Kenya. And so besides the conference, it's about 3 or 4 days in Nairobi. Then they have a before conference, which is you can go on a safari and see all of the elephants and learn all about their experience with a spiritual group doing it. Well, yeah. Yeah, this is pre-conference. And then after the conference, they're going to take you around so you can learn about what Kenya is really like, what it's like to live there. And so experiences the little villages and the cities and learn what that is about. So that's one option. Another one is the Parliament of World Religions. So this is August 2023. It's going to be held in Chicago. And this is where people come, you've heard about interfaith and so forth. Well, people from different faiths around the world all come together in different places, and it's been in Australia and in the Vatican and all different kinds of places every few years. But how is science of mind in there? A lot of times when you go to a hospital and you try and check up what religion are you, it's really hard to find anything that applies if you're belong to a Center for Spiritual Living. But there are 5 different New Thought proposals, sessions that were accepted to be part of it, and on different topics. And so they're working together, different New Thought groups, to try and be more cohesive and recognizable, right? Because there's a lot of similarities with even with the differences. And so this group includes the Centers for Spiritual Living, Unity, Divine Science, Agape. They broke off from us, and then the Universal Foundation for Better Living, or UFBL, which was Johnny Coleman broke off from Unity way back when because she felt that Unity at the time was too racist. So it's so all of these things that have happened, and now we've got this diversity within New Thought, but it's all basically New Thought. So that's an exciting one that you might want to go to, and hear what how New Thought is being perceived by the rest of the world, and at the same time learn about all the other religions of the world. Another one is there's a SOAR convention, which is the Centers for Spiritual Living, and this is going out into nature and really like the meeting that we went to. A lot of it was business about running a center and being a better minister or a practitioner or what have you, but this one is about personal growth and being in nature and just spending time in spiritual community. And so this happens every year, and this year it's going to be Oh, every other year? Okay. And so it's going to be held August 8th through 11th, and we're going back to Asilomar. There used to be 2 weeks at Asilomar every year, and that was always sold out. And then, in recent years, it wasn't selling out, and they increased the price when they upgraded the facility. But now everybody's really excited about going back to Asilomar. So we might want to have a group that goes down there from our center. And so the registration is not open yet, but August 8th through the 11th. And it's a beautiful place right on the shore in California, near Pacific Grove, Monterey Peninsula. Just a beautiful place. So that's a great experience. So, and one other thing, while we were here, one of our, Brian and Linda Zimmer, Michael and I got to spend an afternoon with them and went out to see their beautiful new home in Windsor, and hear the whole story about how it was created, and they're both doing really well, and Brian's gotten through all of his medical treatment, and he's really back on his feet, and really energetic, and back to being Brian, and it was great to spend that time with them. So we know that prayer works, right? Okay, another question?
Yeah, there's a question from Shirley, and then I have a quick question. Shirley's question is there a heaven? Is there a hell?
Ah. This is a big one, and this is one of the ones that people coming from a traditional Christian religion often have trouble with getting to this. It's like we say that heaven and hell are a state of mind, right? There is no hellfire and brimstone kind of thing that's going on, and and we also say that there's no evil, right? There's only good. If everything is God, right? If everything is created by God out of itself, there's no place where God is not. And therefore, there can't be a hell. Why would God want to put part of itself in hell, right? And so when we can take the power of science of mind and creation and create something that is like hell, but it's a misuse of the power. It's like nuclear power. You can use it to create energy and power things, whatever we need in the community, turn on the lights and run the factories and do whatever, or you can use it to create a bomb, right? So it's a misuse that we do as humans. It's not part of the eternal. And in fact, if there was something that was like that, then it would be about self-destructing, right? So we want to be always creating something new rather than destructing, having it fall apart and eat away at the whole, right? There's not this push me, pull me back and forth all the time. And so so there isn't that hell, but then what is heaven then? And this is the amazing freedom that we're given. So, whatever, when we're aspiring that we want something in our life, God always says yes. God is always ready to give us whatever it is that we ask, because that's its nature. And so if we think that our lives are only going to be, difficult and a drudge and we'll just barely get by, well, God will say, okay, that's what you want. You got it. But if we think that, no, I am this beautiful creation of God, I've been created to do great things, whether it has, it's just taking care of my family or it's transforming the world or anything in between, right? It's sharing who I am as a part of God. And so everything that I need to do that is provided. And having relationships, when I am part of a healthy, loving relationship, when I love myself as I am, then I'm going to attract someone that matches that idea. And that's a heavenly relationship, right? And so it all comes with our belief. And so heaven is a state of mind. And so when we have that state of mind, when we know that this is God wants to give us the best that it has to give. It wants to give all of itself, and that's heaven. And so sometimes it takes us a while to move from where we are to getting to that point, but that is the intention, right? Right? You said you had another question,
Oh yeah, just if we have time.
and we'll take one more.
Yeah, if you can briefly explain the relationship between the A-center of spiritual living and the centered spiritual living and what we are known as home office. What is that home office to us, and of course, therefore, to all the other centers of spiritual living?
Well, the in a lot of churches, different organizations, they have in what they'll call a home office. It's kind of a top-down structure, and the Catholic Church is the ultimate, right? And so, but they'll have the structure at the middle, and then they will dictate what the rules are that everybody needs to follow. They will own all of the buildings, and they may financially support all the different centers and the ministers and so forth. And so they can even decide that this minister, or they need a new minister in this center, and okay, now it's time for this minister to move over to another center, and we'll put somebody new in here. And they move people around and make all those decisions from the top down. Not in our organization at all. It is a very horizontal type organization. It's very independent, and so everyone is a leader, including every member of the congregation. It's like we try to make decisions by consensus because we believe that everyone's voice should be heard and is an important part of the whole. And so because of that, the home office or whatever we call the Centers of Spiritual Living, it's an umbrella organization that includes all of these groups, and there are common teachings and books and classes that are put out. But the hub is more of a support. It's kind of like the heart supporting the body. And so they've had some, as everyone has had lower income at the center level, then that means that they have lower money going into, we don't receive any money from the home office. Instead, we give portion of our tithe to the home office to support them. And so creating the curriculum and the spiritual leader that goes out representing the centers in the world, and dealing with training ministers and practitioners and all of those kinds of things. And so they serve the rest of the organization, right? And so it keeps the information going in and going out. It helps keep the ministers in different centers and connected with each other so we know what's going on. And so there's some things like there's an ethics committee when something happens that someone gets out of line, they will address it and for the good of the whole. But it's really a service to the organization. And so I was really amazed with some of the decisions they had to make this year that cut back on because there was less income, they've had to cut back on their staff, and they consolidated, for instance, the spiritual leader position with the field leader position. The spiritual leader kind of dealt with everyone out there in the world and sharing who Science Mind is, and then the field leader was in charge of working with the centers. So they combined those two positions in one to save the money, and they're just doing more with less, and they're really hanging tight with what is the principle, why are we here, what is most important. And so when you go back and do that, sometimes you eliminate some stuff. Well, this is something the centers could do, or we really don't need this, or this is getting really complicated. How can we simplify this? And so it really gets people to go back and do that. So it's an amazing organization that we have, but it's also when you've got this kind of flat organization, an idea can come out of and it goes throughout the world, right? So it's very quickly. So it's there's fewer filters than there would be if everything's got to go up to the top and get approved, and then maybe it might make down. Instead, it just goes, right? And that's the way God is anyway. So, well, that was interesting. So, did you like the idea of having the Q&A? It was sort of totally. I planned stuff, and that was only half of what I talked about. So, okay. Okay. I have plenty for next time. So, well, thank you all for being a part of this. And so, but now we come to our prosperity time. And at CSL Tahoe-Truckee, we know that God is, oh, what? Oh, we have a song. Oh, yes, we have a great song. This one is by Lynn, Floyd, and Robin Hackett. And it's one of my favorite songs. And definitely you're going to all want to sing along to this one. So, one big family.
Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one. One big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one. One big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one. One big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you, Lynn, Floyd, and Robin Hackett, and thank you to Diana Messett for getting all those slides together with us and getting all the music loaded up for this morning. So thank you. It took a little bit of work to do that. All right. Well, now we are at our prosperity time. And at CSL Tahoe-Truckee, we know that God is our infinite source of everything for our center and for each of us as individuals. And so if you've been inspired by today's service, please consider sharing your abundance with our center. And donations of your time, talent, and treasure are how we support our vision of embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. And there are lots of ways to give. You can put it in cash or checks or automatic debit from your checking account each month. You can use your credit cards, PayPal, and we've also added Venmo as a possibility. So you can, lots of different ways. It's your choice. But all of it is really about this support for our center. So please hold your offering over your heart and repeat with me our prosperity affirmation. In everything I give thanks, I gratefully and joyfully share my offering, which flows from God, my infinite source. My blesses this center and all who are guided, healed, and empowered by its activities. It went into the basket. Could you? Yeah. Shirley's not here.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And so it is with deep gratitude that we give thanks for these gifts and offerings, and we know that it is all a part of that expression of the one life that is God, that is present in each one of us and in this moment right now. Our lives are full to overflowing with wonder and joy and love and happiness, and we let it unfold with gratitude and with grace. And together we say, and so it is. All right. Okay. So we have I want to welcome all of our guests that are here with us this morning and everyone here that's been here in the past and the present today. But we're all here together today, and this is the great thing. And I'm grateful to the snow for holding off. It's not supposed to start until heavy snow until noon, so we have plenty of time to get home. I also have some other thank yous. Last week, I want to thank Colleen Akiko and the Ho'oponopono Healing Circle. And we still have some lays here on our Sanctuary TV to remind us of that healing presence. And so we thank Colleen for doing all of that work that she did to put it together. And I want to thank Diana Missett for doing the Zoom hosting this morning. Michael Brandman for practitioner work and reminding us of Troward, where a lot of this all starts. And Shirley Nelson, who she's at home, but she had her husband Bruce brought in some snacks for us to share. So we'll have something good to say, and so we can share a short while afterwards in hospitality. And if you're at home, we'll have the Zoom open so you can share with each other a little bit from the comfort of your nice, warm, cozy homes. And now next Sunday, March 5th, we're starting the new March theme, a CSL theme of cultivating authenticity. And I don't know if you can read that or not, but the title, my topic is Everyone Else is Already Taken. All right? And so the practitioner will be Brenda Haldorn, and the musician will be Kayleani. She hasn't been with us for a while, so that should be wonderful. We have video recordings of the Sunday service that you can view online, and you can check out all the great things happening in our center and learn a little bit more about Science of Mind, the Centers for Spiritual Living, and then share it with your friends or just come back and listen again. The next Red Tent is going to be on March 21st, the Tuesday night. They follow the new moon at the Wellness Center. Our annual meeting is going to be March 19th at noon, right after the Sunday service that morning. And so we will be going over our strategic plan and budget for 2023 and electing some new board members. Now, you have to be a member to vote, but everyone is welcome to come to the meeting and learn what's going on with the center. But if you are a member and you're interested in running for the board, please see me or our president, Penny Scholler. Okay. The retreats I was talking about was the SOAR 2023 at Asilomar. And so this is just a reminder of some of the beautiful scenery there at Asilomar. So if you would like to sign up for that, we'll be sharing that sign-up information when it comes out. And I also we've been doing that for 50 years, and so it's a great experience. But I also want to remind you that our own CSL Tahoe-Truckee retreat at Ananda is scheduled for September 8th through the 10th, and it's a Friday through Sunday in September. So that would be a great time. And we're going to be, we've been talking to some of our sister centers around here that are going to be joining with us. So we'll have a few more people, and so we'll be able to have a great time and without it costing way too much money. And still have Melissa and Z will be our facilitators for the week. So it'll be some good music and great wisdom. Okay, we also have our drop-in classes on Zoom that are in the constant contact. So we have on Thursday Tai Chi and meditation, and Friday the Course of Love book study. So lots to do as well. And we want to welcome and bless our children that are here. If you would repeat the affirmation with me. We see you, we hear you, we love you. You are a gift from God, and so it is. All right. So lots going on to support you, and then one of the greatest parts of our center is our practitioners. And so if there's something going on in your life or something came up with what we're talking about and you want to talk a little bit more or have a prayer, please see one of the practitioners. So here in the sanctuary we have Michael Brandman, who is the practitioner of the day. I'm a practitioner. And online I know we had Brenda and Heldorn and Nancy O'Neill. And I don't know if Carol was there or not. Is Carol's there too? No. Oh, no, Carol. Okay. So anyway, put a message in the chat and we'll connect you with one of the practitioners and you can have a phone call afterwards. All right. Or you can, there's a list of practitioners here in the sanctuary if you would like to make a longer appointment. Okay. So we're going to, if you would stand for our closing song, will be followed by our affirmation. And this is another Gary Lynn Floyd song that was at the convention. Love be with you. Okay, I'll mention that. Okay.
All together, hand in hand, we see the light and take a stand, and we are changing. A whole new life for you and me. Take your past and set it free. Share this blessing. Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe in. Truth come through you. Make good flow to you. Let joy renew you till we meet again. All together, hand in hand, we see the light, we take a stand, and we are changing. A whole new life for you and me. Take your past and set it free. Share this blessing. Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe in. Truth come through you, make good flow to you, let joy renew you, till we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, love be with you. Ooh, love be with you. Ooh, love be with you.
And, do we have our affirmation in there? Oh, we didn't have it in? Okay, well, I don't know what it was. So, yes, I do. Okay. So, repeat after me. Today I express love as I evolve ever higher. And so it is. And Colleen has reminded me that tonight they have sacred music, sacred songs at 6, and Karen Drucker and Gary Lynn Floyd are still in Santa Rosa area or someplace near at her home, and they are having a special, a online concert, the two of them. And so If you want the see. Oh, KarenDrucker.com if you're interested in joining that. So on Facebook. So enjoy. All right. Thank you. Okay.